So hello and welcome to another video. Today is going to be another coaching feedback video because this one's going to be a really important specific point that I wanted to help you guys with. So we'll get started with the videos, and this one is going to be a bit of a different approach in that I'm not going to feedback on a wide range of areas and go in detail in a lot of things. I'm going to just focus on one specific thing because this archer, as you'll see, the general technique is really good, but specifically they wanted help with their draw shoulder. They had some pain in their draw shoulder, felt like they weren't using their scapula properly as they were coming round, and felt like they were just using the arm basically. And because of that, they had this pain in their draw shoulder. So I'll show you the videos now and then we'll get to it. So as you can see in the videos, the archer has a really good general technique. There are a lot of great areas. You know, the shot cycle is really good, the stance is good, the posture is good. There's a lot of good stuff. Head position doesn't move much, anchor is looking good. But the main thing that you can see, and this is related to what the archer spoke to me about, is they have some, you might say dysfunction, but it's kind of an odd movement of the draw shoulder, and you can visibly see that the shoulder movement isn't, you know, in a smooth direction and isn't ideal. And you can definitely see why this is causing the pain in the shoulder. So if we have another look at the video now, we'll start from the angle from the back. You can see clearly that the archer comes in, and then as they come into the anchor position, there's almost then this lowering of the draw shoulder. There's kind of like forcing the shoulder down and pulling the scapula down. And this you can see as well from the other angles in the shot, and you can really see effectively coming into the position and then this forced movement. So the first thing here is that this forced movement isn't necessary. So a couple of things. It looks like perhaps this archer has been told or is trying to keep the draw shoulder low. So maybe they were working on releasing the tension in the upper traps, something like that. And to do that, they were trying to keep the draw shoulder low. But this is why in a previous video I mentioned that you don't want to pull the draw shoulder down, and that's exactly what this archer appears to be doing, in that rather than keeping the shoulder in a neutral position through the shot like this, they then come into anchor, and if you watch here, they come into anchor and then almost pull, they come in and pull the shoulder down, and they're kind of stretching the shoulder effectively in the direction away from the target. They're almost pulling it slightly out of the socket, so from a neutral stable position slightly away from the socket, they're kind of stretching it and also pulling it down. And you can see this again if you look at the neck and the upper traps. You can really see this on the video. You can particularly see it as well from the 6 o'clock angle, from this angle in the video. You can really see again they come into anchor, and instead of the elbow moving around the body, you can see it almost looks like the shoulder lowers and then they kind of stretch out and continue, as the archer said, moving with the arm and not really moving the scapula around the back. If you then compare this to a video of someone where the scapula is moving around the body a bit more, so here's a video of myself doing it. I'm not saying this is absolutely perfect, but you can see the difference in terms of the scapular movement coming around the body and making sure basically that the scapula is A, it's flat to the back of the rib cage, and B, when the scapula is moving, it's not being pulled down excessively. And then finally, and this is quite an important point, is that the movement of the scapula and the elbow is synchronized and is together. It's as one unit. And I'll get to that a little bit more in a second, and I'll explain a bit more about what exactly I mean by that. So how does the archer need to change the technique in order to fix this? So there's a couple of things here. I mentioned about not trying to pull the shoulder down. So that's the first thing. There isn't a need. And if you look again at the 9 o'clock, the angle from the back where you can see the scapula, the actual initial position doesn't look that high. Yes, there might be a tiny bit of upper traps tension, but compared to a lot of archers, this is actually a really good starting point. The issue is not that the scapula is really high and really tense, it's that it hasn't come around fully and not using the shoulder blade movement properly. So you don't need to pull it down like that, you don't need to force it down. There isn't a necessity to do that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is making sure, as I mentioned, the elbow movement and the front movement is synchronized with the shoulder blade. So if we look from the above angle now, you can see that there's a point when the archer's coming to set up where they come up, and suddenly, if you watch my shoulder blade here, suddenly, so they come up, normally you would see something like come up and then to set up. But when you do this, you can see the scapula there is fairly flat against the back of the rib cage and doesn't, you know, protrude out from the back too much. Whereas the archer in this video, you can see as they come up, they really force the shoulder back, and it almost is sticking out from the back a little bit, and there's too much movement. So effectively they are moving, they're trying too much to get the scapula around the body too early. So they come up and do that. So you can see the difference there. So they come up and do that, then the scapula is sticking out. So there are a couple of things. That makes the scapula stick out from the back. And then also it means that, again, I'll play the video here where you can see them doing the rest of the draw. They've basically, by the setup, they've already maxed out the amount of scapular movement they've got. They've come here, they've come in, and they've pushed the scapula back. They've pushed it quite far around already, and that means it's fairly maximally, you know, it's moved around the body quite a lot, and there isn't much more room for it to move. So then when they go from here to anchor, it means that all of that movement is actually just going to be from the arm, because there isn't much more room you can move the shoulder blade around. So this is what I mean by it's important to synchronize the two. You can't come up, force the scapula to move backwards and then try and move with the arm, because that's going to create exactly this issue that the archer's having. They'll come up, they'll move back, and then this bit is just going to be with the arm, and you'll get to anchor and then feel like you need to go like that. And that will create the issue that this archer's having. So it's really important to remember not to rush that and not to force it. And the ironic thing is that if someone is struggling with, you know, like this archer is, if they're struggling with the draw scapula at full draw and they feel like it's not coming around the body enough, very often the gut instinct is to say, okay, I need to move the scapula more. So then that's exactly what they do, and they come up, move the scapula more, and then it doesn't work because it's too early, it's not the right timing, and it's not leaving any space to move. This is very similar to what I mentioned about if an archer is at the set position here and they try and align the shoulders to the target and then come up and they've got nowhere to go. So it's not the fact that the actual thing they're trying to do is wrong, it's that the timing is not accurate, and then that limits them in the shot. And that's a really key point here in terms of doing this movement correctly. So in order to fix this, the first thing I would do is practice with a band. And this is going to be really, really important, because you can see this archer, when they're doing the movement, there's a little bit of shaking, the strength isn't quite there. So it's going to be incredibly important to do it with a band first, because you won't be able to do it with the bow. And if you do try and do it with the bow, it's probably going to cause some injury or something like that. So definitely do it with the band, get the shoulder movement that way. So in effect, what you need to do is focus on, instead of really pulling the shoulder back and, you know, really pulling it around the body too early, you actually might feel a little bit more like you're using the arm through a little bit more of the shot earlier on. And I don't mean arm in the way of, you know, when you see a beginner and they'll draw like this. I mean that you're using a few more of the arm muscles, the forearm and the bicep a little bit as you're drawing, because it is essential to use those a bit. So when you're drawing here, use them for a bit longer and synchronize the movement so that when you look from overhead, if I just angle like this, you can see that the elbow and the shoulder are moving round. at the same time, rather than coming up, sticking back, and then just the arm like this. Yeah? So the first thing I would do is with a band, the really good way to work on this is use a delay camera on the back, and you can focus. I'll turn around now, but the way I would do this is have a delay camera on, and then after I've done the shot, I would turn around and look at the delay camera. So what I would do is, this is maybe an example of what the archer's doing currently. So they're coming up, sticking out, drawing with the arm, and then pulling the shoulder there. So can you see that final movement where I came in, the shoulder wasn't overly high, and then I really pulled the shoulder, you could see it come away from the socket and pulling it down. That's not necessary. So the first thing is, don't do that final movement. The second thing then is to eliminate the early movement and then create the synchronization. So now, this would be an example of not doing that final movement. So coming in, I'm still kind of setting the scapula back too early, then just drawing with the arm, but then now I'm not doing that. So that's the first thing, just eliminate that. The second thing is to eliminate that early movement of the scapula, because that creates some of that small amount of tension in the upper trap, which then makes you feel like you need to pull it down. So then the next thing is just to focus on, as you come up, smoothly moving, and you can do this by doing it at half speed or, you know, third speed, something like that, coming up and slowly coming through. And as you're coming through, you can see the shoulder blade coming round, and that's fine. You don't want that, you want that. And you can see the shoulder blade coming round smoothly. As I said before, don't try and copy this exact movement that I'm doing, you know, verbatim, you know, absolutely exactly the same, because it is slightly different for everyone. But the key things are the smoothness and keeping the movement going. And also, it shouldn't feel at this crucial point when you come from here and you come in, it shouldn't feel like you're sticking the shoulder blade out of the back. It should feel at all times like the shoulder blade is flat and smooth against the back of the rib cage, and you can smoothly move it around. So that's a key thing in your shot feeling when you're going through your shot. It should feel smooth, it should feel like it's on the back of the rib cage. And then when you're moving, you direct the movement with your elbow around the body, and that elbow movement then leads the shoulder blade to smoothly come round. You don't come here and force the shoulder blade movement back on its own and then just move the elbow and the arm, because that's the kind of shot process thinking that leads to this issue. So that's the thing there. The other thing that I would really make sure of is, because there's some instability in the shoulder, that sort of thing, if you can, it would be great to see a physio, but also just some simple shoulder prehab exercises will be essential for this. So, you know, examples of this would be wall angels, must do. Wall angels are excellent, so that's a must do. Some simple internal, external rotations, stuff like that, and then some just general shoulder prehab exercises, and you can get those on the website in the exercises section, and there are loads of examples of those that you can do, but this is just going to help the shoulder health, make sure that the movement pattern of the shoulders is correct and there's not any kind of muscle imbalances, stuff like that, and it's going to really help make sure you keep the right movement around. But I hope that's helpful a bit more in terms of how to do that movement and why it's important that you do it this way. Now finally, I just want to show side by side the two examples of what it looks like is happening in this archer's shot where they're lowering it, and again some example where, you know, there's not this lowering and the shoulder movement is good and coming round. So I just want to show you side by side these two shots to show you the difference, and also for the archer so that you can see when you're doing your training with the delay camera, you can see a bit more what you're aiming for. So it's essential in your training using the delay, using also live feedback. So perhaps if you have got a mirror, for example, you can put the mirror behind you, put some sort of delay iPad phone in front of you here, facing the mirror, and then you can see in live feedback, you can see in the iPad, you can do this and you can see in the iPad the live feedback directly in front of you, and that really helps as well. Don't focus too much, this is really key, don't focus too much on having to pull the shoulder down too low. there is, you know, something that you can do, as in this example, there is a point where it becomes too much. You're pulling it too far down and you're focusing too much on bringing it low rather than bringing it around. So focus more on the smooth movement, focus more on keeping it flat to the rib cage, and focus more on the overall synchronization of the whole unit, the hand, arm, bicep, shoulder, all together coming around, not just one part and then the other part. So this is really key. And as I said, do it with a band first, because you won't be able to do it with a bow. Once you get the coordination, then you can do it with the bow. But I hope that's been useful, and I hope that's definitely given, you know, the archer some really good points to work on, and I hope it's been helpful for you guys to see just kind of one area in a bit more detail. I'd love to see, you know, the progress and how you get on with this in a month or so. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button. If you didn't, let me know in the comments, I guess, what you didn't like about the video. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel as well, make sure you do so, and I'll see you next time.